Hello guys, Saku Studio here, and for today, I'm going to show you on how I was able to create this exterior rendered image using SketchUp, Lumion, and Adobe Photoshop. The original creator for this exterior 3D model is Kojiro Sasaki or DesiredSpace, and his links will be on the description below. For those of you who would like to download the SketchUp in Lumion file for this particular model, I had it posted in my Gumroad website, which is called MVH2. You can download the SketchUp in Lumion file for free, or any amount would do. Thank you so much. The Lumion version used for MVH2 is Lumion 10, while the SketchUp version is 2020. So here's the SketchUp model for MVH2. It is a 2-story house with a rustic and modern design. I removed the front fence and gate from the original model and added more curtains on the ground floor. For the landscaping in front of the house, I added like a small water feature and a dirt pathwalk, and the rest are grass. For the water feature, it consists of 2 layers. The first layer is textured as the rocks beneath the water stream, and on top of that is the body of water itself. I just made the texture for the water stream a bit transparent. I'm planning to put the house on the east side and somewhere in the rear. The default 3D house models in Lumion would do for that, so we don't have to add anything yet in SketchUp. We could use this patch of grass in front of the water stream as location for some of the outdoor benches, and we could also put some street lamps at the pathwalk here. There are default outdoor 3D objects in Lumion, so we could get the bench and street lamp models in there. And that is pretty much it for the SketchUp model. Kojiro Sasaki had already made such an amazing model that we don't really have to add much to it. Maybe just a bit of polishing for the texture materials, but the design and 3D model is already really good. So big up Kojiro Sasaki. I am now going to export the SketchUp model to a Collada file. So let's go to export, then click 3D model. We are going to open this Collada file later in Lumion. For the textures used in this SketchUp model, you can find the folder for the textures near the Collada file after exporting. So let's open Lumion. I am going to import the Collada file that we just made earlier. Here it is. I am going to start by adding the lightings. First off with the pin lights on the roof eaves, then with the lights on the interior ceiling, then inverted lights on the interior flooring. After the lightings, I am now going to start adding the plants surrounding the house. I like to adjust the plant's color and make it look a bit monotone. This is so that the entourage color won't overpower the color scheme of the main house. After the plants, I am going to add the textures for the materials. I will set the color of the 3D grass into somewhat monotone. Here's the rock texture beneath the water stream. The water texture for the water stream is somewhat whitish in color. For some of the wood textures on the main house, I used the wood texture that was used on the SketchUp model. After the textures, let's add the other exterior models surrounding the house. I am going to start off with the house somewhere on the east side, then the house on the rear. After the houses, I am going to add the outdoor benches near the water stream, then the street lamps, and also a utility pole in the rear. And that is pretty much it for the Lumion model. Let's now click the camera icon. I've already captured 2 images and edited the rendering effects for one of them. The focal length used for this exterior rendered image is 35.6mm. I am now going to show you the rendering effects that I used for this image. First, I used the sun effects. Sun height is 35.8 degrees. Sun heading should be 70.1 degrees. Sun brightness is 0.2 and sun disk size should be 0. After the sun, I used the fog effects. Fog density is 1.3. Fog falloff is 0. Fog brightness is 1 and brightness is 1. After the fog, I used the print poster enhancer effects. Enabled should be on. After the print poster enhancer, I used the global illumination effects. Sun amount should be 0. Falloff speed is 1. Reduce spots is 1. Sun max effect distance should be 30 meters. And preview spotlight, GI, and shadows should be on. After the global illumination, I used the lens flare effects. Streak intensity is 0. Streak rotation is 0. Streak count is 4. Streak dispersion is 0.7. Streak falloff is 1.7. Bloom amount should be 0.5. Master brightness is 0. Anamorphic streak amount is 0.5. Ghosting amount is also 0.5. Isolate bright pixels is 0. Halo amount is 0. And lens dirt amount is 0. 0. After the lens flare, I use the autumn colors effects. The default settings for the autumn colors should be already good. After the autumn colors, I use the bloom effects. Bloom amount should be 0.2. After the bloom, I use the sharpen effects. Intensity is 0.1. After the sharpen, I use the exposure effects. Exposure should be 0.6. After the exposure, I use the color correction effects. Temperature is 0.4, tint is 0.2, vibrance should be 0, brightness is 0.7, contrast is 0.5, saturation should be 1, gamma correction is 1, limit low is 0, and limit high should be 1. After the color correction, I use the hyperlight effects. Amount is 70.2% and enable in preview should be on. After the hyperlight, I use the real skies effects. For the select real sky, I choose the sunset 4 on the sunset tab. Heading is 112.2 degrees, brightness should be 2, overall brightness is 1.9, and flip sky is off. After the real skies, I use the reflection effects. Reflection threshold is 25 centimeters, preview quality should be high, and speed ray reflections should be on. For the edit reflection plane, I selected all of the textures which could be seen on the captured view which are reflective or glossy. After the reflection, I use the shadow effects. Sun shadow range is 390 meters, coloring should be 0.3, brightness is 0, interior exterior is 0, omni shadow is 0.5, shadow correction is 0, shadow type should be normal, and soft shadows and fine detail shadows should be on. After the shadow, I use the skylight effects. Brightness is 1.9, saturation is 1.3, skylight in planar reflections and skylight in projected reflections should be on, and render quality should be ultra. And that is pretty much it for the Lumion rendering effects. Let's now render this image. Let's use the print size or 3840 by 2160 so that the image would be able to handle the post-production process well. Here's the result of the rendered image made using Lumion, and let's now proceed with the post-production. So let's open the rendered image in Adobe Photoshop CC. Click the background layer and let's change it into layer 0. Then press OK. After that, press Ctrl Shift A to open the camera raw filter. Let's set the saturation to +5, vibrance to +9, the haze would be +21, clarity is +75, and let's set the texture to -60. After that, let's adjust the settings. We are going to lessen the black elements on this image as well as the highlights. And lastly, let's set the temperature to -4. Alright, this is good enough. Press OK. After the camera raw filter, let's add the Gaussian blur effect. Hold Alt, then drag the layer 0 down. A layer 0 copy should come out. Then drag it above layer 0 without holding Alt. Change the normal setting into soft light, then adjust the opacity to 35%. Go to filters, then select blur, and under the blur effect, select Gaussian blur. Radius should be 5 pixels, then press OK. After the Gaussian blur, let's add the high pass effect. Press Ctrl Shift Alt E. A layer 1 should appear above layer 0 copy. Then press Ctrl Shift U. The layer 1 should turn black and white. Change the normal setting into overlay and set the opacity into 25%. Go to filters and select others, then select high pass. Radius should be 10 pixels, then press OK. Let's now save this rendered image. Quality should be 12 and maximum. And that is pretty much it for the post-production process. Here's the difference between the rendered image with just rendering it with Lumion and after applying the post-production with Adobe Photoshop CC. I hope that you've learned something new from this video. Thanks so much for watching and have a good day.